Welcome to the INTJ equation. Today I'm going to talk about SI or introverted sensation and ISTJs and ISFJs and how they get along with INTJs. So be sure to stick around to the end of the video. I would appreciate it. I'm not a fan of the MBTI. It is a very oversimplified 4-function model, and I subscribe to John Beebe's 8-function model, which includes 4 functions on the ego like MBTI, but it also has shadow functions down in the shadow. If you want to understand how John Beebe's model works, go ahead and watch this video. I think John Beebe and Carl Jung had a similar mission because Isabel Myers just wanted to type people in a healthy manner and be all cutesy and stuff like the idealists like to be, but John Beebe's an ENTP and Carl Jung's an INTP, and they wanted to solve a problem with typology, so they look at unhealthy people. Let's get a quick reminder of what SI is, and if you want a better reminder and a more in-depth understanding of introverted sensation, go ahead and watch this video above. SI users value personal comfort. They like to withhold long-standing traditions. They're about honor and duty to others. SI is tied to long-term memory. They're good at memorizing things and dates and things like that. And since they kind of dominate the population, high SI users at least, you are weird, autistic, or mentally ill if you do not fit their paradigm, basically. SI heroes in particular have any inferior, which I'll talk about the inferior functions at a later time. So they are very, very hesitant about future possibilities. So they like to be past focused with their SI. John Beebe's 8-function model, and in his book, Energy and Patterns of Psychological Type, which you can read right here, look at right here, he gives each of the cognitive functions 3 keywords. SI on the surface, to somebody looking at the SI user, sees SI as implementing, meaning SI users, they recall what worked for them in the past. It might be a totally new situation. It may not work. It may not be relevant, but that's what SI users kind of go to. They really don't like to look at the future possibilities. They kind of are just comfortable with what happened in the past. And well, sometimes history doesn't always repeat itself. So that's not always a good thing. The heart of the process with SI is accounting. And that's not an ISTJ joke, being a bean counter. They're always thinking, is this experience valid? Is this experience worthwhile? Is this real? SI users, as I mentioned, high SI users aren't big on future possibilities. So they're accounting for what happened in the past and applying it to the present and maybe even the near future. What SI looks to the person using it is called verifying. SI users, they can be some of the most closed-minded of the types, and they want to verify something that they have done before. If they haven't done before, then it isn't valid. A lot of high SI users are religious, and they tend to believe that nothing is real unless it's empirically studied, but yet they believe this 6,000-year-old book with this God dude who treated people like shit, basically. And one day he had a son and he sent him to Earth to live as a human, and he chilled out and he became real merciful and nice. Even though there's no empirical evidence on that, they believe that, but they won't believe in something like typology. So go figure. And the heart of the process basically is what comes from SI, and that's accounting. They account for all their past experiences and try to apply to the present and maybe even the near future. Like I said before, they're not big on future possibilities, so they're very past focused. Is this video making you comfortable? Probably not, but go ahead and give it a thumbs up anyways. I would appreciate it. Let's break down and take a look at the SI heroes individually, the ISFJs and ISTJs. ISTJs and INTJs may not seem like it, but we do have a lot in common. We do share our second and third functions, which is the mother, father, and the child function. ISTJs also have TI cynics and FE trickster, and we'll also see it through types and Linda Barron's interaction styles. ISTJs that I've met, I usually kind of get along with. I mean, I can't have deep conversations with them or anything, but I think they're more understanding of me not being this overly expressive, outgoing person, and that's kind of comforting to them. But like, again, like the past and the tradition and, well, this worked before, so it's going to work again. And all the religion stuff, that kind of triggers my SI demons. So that can be a challenge. ISTJs are insanely good at remembering facts and breaking it down with their TE. So it's kind of like a similar process INTJs do, except for the past focus of what can happen now. With ISTJs, we look at the past of all the information that we absorbed and apply it to the future. So it's kind of a similar process. SI and NI can be easily confused. SI is insanely good with details. Like I made the accounting bean counter joke. That's kind of like the stereotypical job. Where ISTJs, they can just sit there and do these small, tedious things, which is something that I struggle with. And I'm kind of a big picture person, so I kind of get where I want to be. Then I try to fill in the details as I go, which can be agonizing at the same time, but they just kind of get there stride by stride, little by little. ISFJs, on the other hand, they have FE mother father, and they use it like kind of like an idealist in a way, or an ESFJ, and they use their SI in a more people oriented fashion. They're all about customs and traditions, and ISFJs, they love Thanksgiving, they love Christmas. I have an ISFJ sister, and she's all about this, and birthdays and this and that. She's deeply religious and all that stuff. When they're healthy, ISFJs are very warm and accommodating, but when they're unhealthy, they are very judgmental. So I've had an ISFJ that I've used to work with, and everybody thought I was kind of weird and strange, but she was actually quite accepting of me, so I appreciated that from her. How do we get along with SI heroes as an INTJ? Again, it varies with maturity and past experiences, traumas. So it's going to be a mixed bag. Like I said, ISTJs I get along fairly well with. We can kind of butt heads when we kind of break the rules. We kind of go around the rules and kind of do things their own way, and they don't respect that. But like I said, there's a lot of camaraderie there with the second, third, and the shadow functions, FE Trickster and SI Cynics. So we kind of see eye to eye in a lot of things. So as long as you follow the rules around them, especially because you most likely have a supervisor with an ISTJ or something like that, you should be good. And you can talk to them about things like that, and they can appreciate that you want this exuberant, emotional, expressive person, and they can see that and appreciate that as well. In my experience, ISFJs can be a little bit more challenging to get along with. They're about that FE, and they kind of crave and demand that cohesiveness that I guess is a social norm. INTJs, known being the most independent type and being very aloof, and ISFJs can be kind of suspicious of that and kind of accuse us of being arrogant, which I guess in a way we can be considered arrogant, but I kind of see it as arrogant as trying to force us to be a part of the group that we don't want to be in, a part of the group that we don't fit in. But when they're unhealthy, or when they're healthy, they realize that everybody's an individual. Like I had a ISFJ coworker that I was working with a few weeks ago, and it was a pretty stressful night at the mental hospital. And well, when people are acting stupid, I kind of put them in their place, and she actually appreciated that. But I was kind of snappy with them at times, but it was a very long, stressful night, and I explained that. And she actually said, well, people are wired in different ways, so at least she's seen that, and that was very cool of her. But I had an ISFJ sister, like I said, and we never really got along all that well. But again, upbringing and stuff like that, sure, having somebody that you work with, every once in a while, and growing up with somebody is a huge difference. So, it's important. Like I have a son, like I said, and these traditions like Christmas and Thanksgiving, birthdays, he might even become religious, which I hope he doesn't, but I'm not going to prevent him if he takes that path. We can learn a lot from SI heroes, and they're very good at disciplining themselves and sticking to regimens and stuff like that, which INTJs often struggle with. So we can definitely pick that up from them and learn from them in that aspect. Christmas and things like that is important to people, but I know with I can kind of see the bullshit behind it, and it's just basically a money laundering scheme, basically lies that we tell our children to keep them in line with Santa Claus and things like that. So yeah, I guess with our FI child and our FE trickster, we're go a little rogue, and that can be a little much for SI heroes. If you like this content, I appreciate a thumbs up. And if you want to understand the hero functions a little bit more, go ahead and watch this playlist above. Thank you for going beyond a clickbait, and have a great day.